Wargaming have done it again. They've dropped something into the game, and within 5 minutes, or rather within one campaign, they're changing their minds about how it works. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, the title says it all. I'd suggest you go and read the patch notes and have a look at that, because they are changing the way that epic mods work. I've called it a nerf, but I'm not quite sure. But for those of you asking what are epic mods, there was a campaign some time ago that introduced the ability to earn an epic modification. And we'll just click through them here on these screenshots to show what they do. But basically, they're the same as a standard modification. However, for each proc of that modification, the requirements, you reduce it by a percentage. So, for example, your secondary battery reload time reduces by 5% for every 50 secondary hits, up to a maximum of 5 procs. So your secondaries would reduce their reload time by 25% for 250 secondary battery hits, which is quite significant if you're in something like a Brandenburg. There's a lot of gun hits. But I thought, is there another way to do it? They've changed it to being 30,000 damage rather than use the requirements for hits or citadels. And for me, they could do it as an or. So say 30,000 damage or 50 main gun hits or citadels. And another thing that I think they should do is they should make all the modifications available for all the classes of ships, because I think that would lead to some really interesting builds on different types of ship. Alright, maybe not the secondary mod for destroyers. Hey, but I have had a secondary kill in my Cossack, and it has a single secondary gun on it, which made it one of those 1 in a million kills. Now, initially, I was really annoyed with this announcement, because if you've watched me play games, I often say it's not all about the damage. The objective with a team game is to win it. It's great having a high damage score, and the reason I wanted to use this video as an example is because for a long time I'm not doing a lot of damage. I am doing a destroyer's first job of spotting, capturing, and then we will get onto the killing. But you'll see that we've got 2 destroyers. I think it's 3 cruisers, or is it 2 cruisers and 5 battleships? So there is a lot of damage out there to be had. But I'll say it again, it's not all about the damage. Now, on the daring, I am using the epic reload booster, which means for every 50 gun hits, I get a 2% reduction in my reload time, which doesn't sound like a lot, and it certainly isn't a lot. If I get 250 gun hits, that is going to reduce my reload by 0.28 seconds. But trust me, playing with this ship with that mod on it has made a heck of a difference to both my damage output, my shell output, and it really does make battleship captains think twice about what they're going up against, because when you get to a maximum proc, you're firing shells like a Fletcher. It is crazy. So here we are. We are almost 2.5 minutes into the game. We've spotted 2 ships. We're on a cap, and we're going to play this cap. But as I was saying, when I saw this news that they were changing it to be damage only, I really did think that they had stuck their heads up their backsides and just filled their ears full of ships, should I say. Because they said they'd listen to the community. Now, I don't remember seeing anywhere across any of the social media channels, be it Facebook, Twitter, Discord, and I am in quite a few different Facebook groups and contribute to them, and very active in many of them. But I didn't see anything over the last few months about anything with people complaining that Epic mods don't work. You know, that the method in which they've been implemented isn't correct. So I'm just wondering where this has come from. Has it come from internally? You know, have they been looking at the statistics and data that's been collected to see how often legendary or epic modifications are being procced within a game? We miss out on 2 kills there. That's a shame, isn't it? Could have been nice to get off the board. But yeah, I don't know where this listening to the community comes from, because I haven't seen anything within the community. Perhaps I'm just missing those conversations, you know, those threads of conversation are getting lost in all the background static of people posting how much damage they do in a game. It's not about damage, chaps. It's about playing for the team. It's about playing for the win. Damage is wonderful, but as you can see here, I'm barely tickling any damage whatsoever. But we're gonna turn that around a little bit later in the game, because it's a slow burner, this one. It's slow to start, and I thought it'd be a good example because A, it'll give me time to reflect on these changes that have been made, and also to use this video as an example as the game progresses on how that change would have affected a game like this. So we're not quite up to 50 gun hits yet. We're only 1/3 of the way to 30,000 damage, and that is going to be the new requirement. So instead of 50 secondary gun hits, you will get your first proc for your secondary guns when you've done 30,000 damage. I will get a proc on my main battery reload once I've done 30,000 damage, whereas in this example it will be for every 50 gun hits. And as I said, I was a little bit outraged that Wargaming throw something in and then very quickly backpedal and change their minds, and I don't think it's the first time that they've done something like this. Shall we say Weimar, shall we say Ark Royal, shall we say Destroyer Commanders, shall we say the Kleber and its torpedo range. Please put the Kleber torpedo range not necessarily back up to where it was, but you dropped it 2Ks, you know, give us a kilometre back. You've put a hell of a lot of radar cruisers and secondary battleships in the game since then, so we could do with an extra kilometre back. Just on the torps, not on the commanders. We don't need 3-kilometre concealment. But here we go. We're going to start getting on the guns in this game, and we are going to start racking up these main battery gun hits. But as you'll see, because I don't do a lot of alpha damage with these shells, because obviously I'm firing HE, but I am going to get some fire damages. My shell count, or my shell count hit, is going to go up a hell of a lot quicker than my damage score to start with, so I am going to get those procs for my main battery hits, and that's going to reduce my reload time. Wargaming backpedaling constantly, it's changing the game, and I am one that says if the game changes, then the players need to adapt, and that is correct. But there are other mechanics in this game that have an option, or they have two states associated with them. For example, if I'm not on fire, you know, my concealment at the moment is what's that, 5.1 kilometers, but if I fire my guns, my visibility is 11.1 kilometers. So there are two states to my detection. The same for if I am in a smoke screen. I am automatically detected at 2 kilometers, or automatically detected if I fire in smoke and another ship is within, I think, 2.4 kilometers. Or what was the other one I was thinking of? I've forgotten it now. Oh yes, if a ship is running not the concealment mod they have for battleships, the one that everybody used before to pick up ships at a longer range. Can't remember what it's called. It's completely gone out of my mind. But then I can be detected at 3 kilometers in my smoke screen. So there's an example of something that has 3 states: in smoke, firing in smoke, or if somebody is running a modification which will increase the detection to 3 kilometers. And I will put a note on the screen before I publish this video that says what that's called, because it's really doing my head in that I've forgotten. So there are many things in this game that have more than one state. So rather than change it completely from what it was originally, why not give the epic modifications 2 states? So for this one, my main battery reload would reduce by 2% for every 50 gun hits or every 30,000 damage. Because if you look now, I'm above 100 gun hits, which would have given me 2 procs of main battery reload. Up until just now, I was on 40,000 damage, which would have only given me 1. Now I've caught up. I'm above 60,000 damage, so I would have 2 procs of main battery reload once the new update drops in. But I only need another 4 gun hits, and I will be on 3 procs of main battery reload. Now, I've gone back through a lot of videos that I have saved where I've played the Daring, the Gearing, or the Khabarovsk. And as I said, I was annoyed, not quite outraged, but I was annoyed that this change is being made and being made the way it is. But what I did find in looking at probably a dozen games is that it kind of balances out. In some games, I would get more damage and therefore more procs. But in other games, I would have more main battery hits and I would get more procs that way. And although, because I play the Daring a lot and a lot of the replayers were of the Daring, so that's perhaps skewed the stats. But looking at it, the different types of ship, the damage we were doing, the number of main battery hits, certainly with gunboat destroyers. The gunboat destroyers were leaning towards the more procs for main battery hits, and those where I tended to play a bit more stealthy and use torpedoes, they would have given more procs with the damage. So here now we're on 178 gun hits, which would give us 3. We're on 95,000 damage. That would give us 3. So we started with very low damage and then gradually started to work it up with the guns. But as the bigger ships came into range and came into play away from the back of the map, the damage caught up with the main battery hits. And the reason I love the Daring is all these little short smoke screens. There's a Kronstadt there. You'll notice that there's 2 radar cruisers in this game. And even though we're down to 2 ships, there's still 2 radar cruisers in the game. But there's very shortly going to be 1. And we're looking at the damage. Are we going to pass 120 before we pass 200 gun hits? You know, are we going to stay quite in line here? We're up to 190 gun hits. There's a fire. We're past 120,000 damage, so that would give us 4 procs based on the damage. But now the Ruprecht is coming in, and we're going to unload our guns again because the battleship can now see these guys. Kronstadt's burned his radar. He's in the dark now as to where I am. Well, obviously in the smoke screen. But this Yamato starts to get hungry for some kills. But there you go. We're past 200 gun hits. We're past 120,000 damage. So that would be 4 procs each. And now we're going to annoy the hell out of this Ruprecht. Because if we had the legendary mod for main battery reload on here, we do finish this game with 250 main battery hits, and there was still a ship in the game. We just played so well that we actually we do reach 1,000 points. But as I said, that Yamato that's been across there on A cap, he gets thirsty. Certainly tries to take a shot at that Kronstadt, and then he does take out the Ruprecht. But there we go, 250 main gun hits. That would be 5 procs on main battery reload under the current rules. 140,000 damage, which would only be 4 procs under the new updated epic mod rules. So Wargaming, please go back, sit, have a think about this, and see if there is a way that you can do an OR, add an OR into this, so that we have the existing proc specification or 30,000 damage. I also think the 30,000 damage might be a little bit high. I think 20,000 damage would be a more reasonable, because I really do think that what we're going to end up seeing is people just playing for damage, whereas before it did encourage a little bit of skill and a little bit more of getting involved in the battle. The only medal we get out of this one is the Witherer for doing 60,000 fire damage, but there we have it, 250 main gun hits, 3 torp hits, 3 incapacitations, 2 kills, 10 fires, 3 floods, 9 cap resets, 2 solo caps. And if you are interested in seeing the base XP score, because it did turn into quite a nice game for me, that one, and I thoroughly enjoyed playing it. It was very much a challenge at the end. But there you go, 32, 37, top of the board, 900 pretty much above second place. So I did a good job. Let me know what you think about the patch notes and specifically to the update for the epic mods in the comments. Don't forget, hit the like button. If you haven't done already, please do subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you out there on the high seas. Until then, take care of yourselves, and goodbye.